Hey, folks, it's Dave here. Late on a Monday night, just got out of work. And so, what I thought I would do is talk a little bit about Solitaire Pro Football. Uh, Ironically, I was playing this today, and Mike sent me a message, and he says that, hey, I just released 2000 and 2001. So, I picked up 2001 for obvious reasons. But I thought, but it was funny that I was playing it as release of seasons, and then I think Vinny picked it up, and Mike in the truck picked it up. So this is just going to be a little bit of an intro to the game, and I know I've done some videos on this before, but it's been a while, and I'm playing it right now, so I thought I would go in and just kind of show you guys a little bit about the game. First, what I want to do is show you what you get when you get a season. Okay, so here is the new season, and we're going to make that nice and big for you. Okay, so this is the new 2001 season, and I'm briefly going to show you what you get. Then you see how you get 171 pages. You get so much with these seasons. Now, not all of them are quite this big. Some of the older seasons, meaning the older made seasons, not so much the year, but some of the seasons that were made a long time ago haven't been updated to this new format. A lot of them have, and he's chipping away at getting everything to this point. But a lot of them now are going to be just like this. So this is what you're going to get here when you start unboxing this. You're going to get the standings right here, which is kind of fun to have the standings right here. You also get their full schedules and their results. I mean, this thing is just packed. It's packed full of information. Then you get the playoff situation. So it shows you what happened in the playoffs. And then you have a quick play game. See this NFL quick chart here. So what's going to happen is each team is rated offense and defense, and there's instructions here on how to play the game. And I think it's a couple of roles. I think it's one for the first half and one for the second half or something like that. But you can actually play quick play games here just by rolling on this chart and looking at the offense and defense. Also, you have the full schedule, the week 1, week 2. So you can play the quick game results and put the results right in here and get a final score. And look, so you got, Oakland taking on Kansas City, and you got your ratings all built in here. I mean, he does all this for you. It is fantastic. So now you have the full week here. All right, now we get the team sheets, and I'll get into that in 1 second. We'll get into the team sheets here, but you got all the team sheets in full color. And let me come all the way down here. So when you're done the team sheets, you get these things here. I'm sorry, I got to back it up a little bit here. Right here. All right. So now you get score sheets. So along with, getting the standings and the schedule and the quick play schedule to play along, you have score sheets that are pre-filled in. So this 2001 Baltimore Ravens, you got your quarterbacks with all their ratings, the rushers with all their ratings, and the receivers with all their ratings. I think that's pretty cool. Then over here, you have the offensive ratings, and then you have the ability to write in your opponent's defense. Now below that, you have your play chart to follow along. And then if you go down here, the next page, you got your kickoffs and your punts and your interceptions, punters, kickers, and keep track of all your stats. It's all filled in. It's unbelievable. It's all filled in, and you get that for every team. But wait, there's more. If I scroll way down here, right, and I'm going to get to page, I don't know what page I'm on, 110. So now look what you get. You get a different score sheet all filled out. It's a little different. So you have 2 score sheets for each team's offense and defense and special teams. And so then here you could actually fill in the results of the opponent's defense, and you could play right off of this. Again, all the players with all their ratings are in here. It's unbelievable. And then if I go here, this is the Raven defense, and then I could put in the opponent's offense over here if I wanted to, and keep track of some things over here. It's pretty unbelievable, the amount of things that you get with this game. It really is. So I'm pretty. Oh, John, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you. Where's my tie? I know I've been wearing ties all weekend, and the game tonight. I'm just a scorekeeper. So I don't have any ties when I scorekeep, but when I do the broadcasts, occasionally I'm on camera, so I like to look nice, at least with a shirt. We had a new referee tonight at the rink. I'd never seen this guy before. He looked young, probably in his. It looked like he could have been either a teenager or mid-20s, thin as a rail. And he had this weird name, so I think it was a Russian name or European name. He had the deepest voice. It was like, goal scored by number 8. I'm not making him mad. So, anyway, so that's what you get when you order this thing. You order a season. You get a ton of stuff in this season. As Kevin comes by, hi Kevin. I'm going to talk some Solitaire Pro tonight. I'm going to we'll get you started with this game. Is what I'm going to do here late night tonight. So that's what you get with a season. With the game, you get obviously all the instructions. You get fast action cards. You got to print. There's 144 of them. I think they're 9 to a page. And then you have some team play cards. And then you got a couple of charts that for reference. And there's everything's on a team sheet. So let me go overhead and let's see what we can do here. So this is my team sheet here. Hopefully that looks okay. I think I might bump up the Irish one there. The iris. Let me call it the iris. So that's what we have here for the team sheet. And let me kind of break it down a little bit here. So what we have is obviously the name of the team. This will come into play when setting up, and I'll show you what that is. You have your offensive and defensive penalty ratings, fumble ratings, pass block, and pass rush. I'll go over that in just a second. And then you have some, this is neat, the first down. I always forget to do this, but I'll show you what that means in 1 second too. Then you have all your passes and your rushes and receivers with the location number, the locator number. And that's key because most of the new seasons have this. There are a handful of seasons I have that don't have this, and they come on a separate page. So you need this plus the little square, and it's about this big. It's about that big. It's about the size of one of the play cards, and that's where you get your numbers here for passing and running and receiving and all that stuff there. But the newer seasons, and I love it when they're all on the same page here. So, and I'll show you how that is. I show you what everything is, but this is what the team sheet looks like. You get your defense up here, kickoff returns, punts, interceptions, sacks, receivers, and down the bottom you get your kickers. So that's what the team sheet looks like, and I'll go over all that in 1 second. To get started, alrighty, let's just take a couple of teams here. So we got New England and Carolina, and they actually did play, and I am going to play them because you can see Carolina was 1-15. So New England and St. Louis both played them and destroyed them, so that's going to make the table. First thing you need to do is we need to figure out which of these team cards we're going to use, 1 through 24. And how you do that is we'll start with New England first. So they're at 25, and there's the modifier, +2. So they're 27. Okay, so if I come over here in the instructions, and my resulting number is 27, I'm going to play card 15. So for New England, I would come over here, and I'm going to use play card 15. And for Carolina, they're 19 -1, so they got an 18. So if my result is 18, I'm going play card 6. And that's basically all the setup that you really need to do. So I have play card 15 for New England and play card 6 for Carolina. And you can see some of the differences here. So what's going to happen is on 1st and 10, on a 1 to 27, New England's going to run. And for Carolina, on 1st and 10, it's going to be 1 to 18. So they're more apt to pass, okay? And for them, the long pass is 47 to 50. New England's 48 to 50. So they might throw the deep pass a little bit more. If we had a 2nd and 10, they're still going to run half the time, and they're going to run less here. So this is more of a run card. This is more of a pass card. So you're going to need these cards here out when you're playing the game. Let's see. What do we want to do next? Well, let's show you some of the action cards here. Okay. And Clay comes by and he says, I like those pre-filled score sheets. Yeah, this is something Mike's done for a long time. And they are handy. I use them sometimes. If I'm keeping stats or something, I actually might I might use those. And what's neat about them too is that each runner, there's a little gray box, okay, and in that gray box, that's as many times as you can run that guy before everyone else has to get to the gray box. So it's kind of a usage thing. Also, where am I here? When you use the locator, that kind of overrides some of the usage too, because it's kind of all balanced over here, and you shouldn't really overuse anybody. Let's do a couple of sample plays here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, so we have our team cards here, right? So that's what we have. We have a team card New England, and we have a team card for Carolina. So let's just say Carolina kicks off. Okay, so we're gonna get on the bottom here. And we're going to look for John Casey, okay? There's two kickers here, but we're going to stick with Casey. So in theory, you could flip a card to see which kicker is going to kick off, but we're just going to stick with Casey, okay? So the first thing we want to do, and now this is kind of new, the kickoff touchback. That's one thing we want to look at here. So we're going to flip a card, and if we get a 1, it's a touchback, okay? If not, then it's going to be a normal kickoff. Let's take a look at the card here. You have 5 numbers. Okay, and this is kind of like the newer card they had. The older card is a little bit different. You're going to pick a number here. I think they suggested maybe first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, overtime. I like to mix it up when I'm playing. By the way, this is a full deck here. This is 144 cards, so that's a full deck right there. Okay. And so sometimes what I'll do is, as I get through a deck, I'll say, okay, I'm going to start using the second number now. So then when I flip a card, I'm looking at the second number. And then later on, I might say the third number. So long as I like to call it out in advance, and that way I'm not using the same number all the time. I'm mixing it up. That's kind of what it is here. So if we're going to say we're going to use the top number, that's what we're going to do. So I flip a card, and I see if it's a 1. Okay, because the 1 is his kickoff touchback. It's not a 1, so we're not going to be doing anything with that. All righty. And you're supposed to flip a new card for everything. Okay, that's the big thing. So don't ever look at something here and bounce around. Pick one thing, get rid of the card. So on the kickoff, this is nice and easy. What I like about this is it tells you where it goes. It goes to the 4-yard line. There's really not much beyond that. It's just it goes to the 4. So you don't get. It's not like you got to add to do any math. It's not like, oh, you kicked it 55 yards. It tells you where it goes. So no matter where you're kicking from, it goes to the 4. I've always liked that about this game. Let's take a look at some other results. So this is kickoff. It goes 3 yards deep into the end zone. On this one, it goes to the 5-yard line. On this kickoff, it's received at the goal line. This kickoff is received at the 3-yard line. This kickoff is received 5 yards deep in the end zone. You get it, right? You kind of get what's going on the kickoff. Okay, so there's the kickoff there. So going back with this one here, it's kicked to the 3-yard line, let's say. Alrighty, so John Casey kicks that to the 3-yard line. So what are we going to do now? We're going to take a look at New England. And we're going to go to their kick returners. And this is what we got, 1 to 50. So I'm going to take a card, and I'm going to flip a card here, and I'm going to say that we're using the top number. 35. So 35 is Patrick Pass. His average is 21. So it's kicked off to the 5. Patrick Pass will get it, and his return is an average of 21. So we flip the next card. We look at the kickoff punt return. It's the average plus 2. So average is 21 plus 2 is 23. So he gets it at the 5. We add 23. New England starts at the 28-yard line. That's kind of how a kick goes. Now, there are some other things that can happen on kicks. For example, the RX on a kick return or a punt return, that means we're going to have some kind of a penalty here. And what you would do is you would flip the next card after resolving the return. Anytime you get a penalty, you resolve the play, then you go back to it. So you go to RX, right? Because that said, go to RX. So we go to RX after we're done, and it's going to be 15 yards in a defense. And it tells you in the book, who's kicking off, if they're the offense or the defense. I won't get into that right now, but that's all in the rules there. Let me see. Anything else on the return there? Okay, well, here's a kickoff return. It says average -5. So 21 minus 5 would be 16. If he took it from the 5, he brings it to the 21. Here's a kick return of an average -6. And here's a kick return that's just going to be his average, which would be 21. So that gets you going on a kickoff. So that shows you how to go for the kickoff. So the first thing you want to do, if you have this on your this new thing on your team, is to see if it's kicked for a touchback using a number. If it's not, then you kick off, and it tells you where it goes. Again, end zone -2, and then on the next card, you're coming down here to see what it's going to be. So that's kind of how a kickoff works, okay? Nice and simple. Now let's run through a play for New England, and what we're going to do is we're just going to do a run, and I'm not going to get into every single example here today, but I do want to see if I can get you off and running and show you how the game works. Okay, so what we're going to do is on this card here, this is the New England play card. So we're looking at 1st and 10, right? So 1 to 27 is a run, 28 to 47 is a short pass, and 48 to 50 is a long pass. There's only 3 things in this game. Again, it's an older game, so there's not a ton of variety when it comes to that. That being said, I've played enough games that it's not a big deal that I don't have inside run, outside run. It's not a big deal that I don't have a draw. It's not a big deal that I'm not off tackle, or if I have a medium pass. This game just works really nice as it is. So that stuff is not really missed. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flip a card. And again, if we're going on the top row, it's a 5. So we have a run. Now, as far as the order goes, what we're doing when we do a play, whether it's a run or a pass, we're flipping a card, looking here to see what we're going to do. Then you got a couple more flips of these cards to get these, using the numbers here, to figure out what's happening. You need to identify the rusher or the receiver, and then you need to get a defensive letter. I like to get the defense last. And I think when I talked about this the last time, someone called me out and said that I was doing this out of order. It doesn't matter the order as long as you get all the results that you need before the final result flip, okay? So if you want to get, you need to flip for the play first. That's what you need to do. Then you need to identify the player and identify the defense. Which order you do them in, it's whatever you like to do. I like to do defense last, so that's what I'm going to do. So we've determined that it's going to be a run. So we're going to flip a card. Now, a 26. So we're going to look over here, and 1 to 30 is Antoine Smith. So Antoine Smith is going to run it for New England, okay? Then you're going to flip a card to get defense, and that's this right here, the E. That's your defense. I like to put this off to the side, so when I'm flipping my cards, I pull out the defense so I never forget what the defense is. And also, if I get a penalty or anything crazy like that, I slide that off to the side too, so I know that I need to refer to that. Okay, so we have E right now. Let me get this out of the way. So our defense is E. So what does all this mean? Okay, well, Antoine Smith is going to carry the ball. His average is 3. If we look at Carolina, their E defense for normal rush is -1. So we have 3 minus 1 is 2. So our average for the run is 2. We're going to flip a card. We look for run. It's average plus 2. So we are 3 minus 1 for the defense is 2. So we're 2 plus 2. That's a 4-yard gain. And that's how the runs work. Let's do another play. Right? So I'm going to go, and it's going to be 9. Well, so if I have second and let's just say second and 4 to 7, it's another run. Okay? So we got a run coming up here. So now let's flip a card here. Let me get a different number here. Okay, so we're going to flip this number. 48. Who's 48? Well, that's Troy Brown. So this is some kind of reverse of something to Troy Brown. Okay? And so his average is 8. All right, so Troy Brown, average of 8. Let's check our defense. Our defense this time is C. So we have an average of 8. And again, you can see that he's got the 1 here. So what this means is, I like to use the locators, but kind of what this is supposed to happen is Antoine Smith is going to get 14 carries. This guy gets 3, this guy gets 2, this guy gets 2, this guy gets 2. So Troy Brown gets 1 carry. He really shouldn't carry again until everybody else meets their numbers here. And the same thing here. So once he gets 14, these other guys are supposed to get their carries before he resets. Using the locator thing here, I usually bypass this because the locator should balance this out well enough. But anyway, that's kind of how that works. So if you're calling plays manually, which it says you're supposed to, I like to use the locator. It's just easier for me. So we got Troy Brown, 48, right? Here's the 48. So we've established that he's our runner. He's got an average of 8. Let's check the defense. A C defense is 0. There's no change. So his average is 8. So it's going to be like an end around or something like that. So let's flip a card. The run average, that's an 8-yard gain. So if we had a run of 5 and a run of 8, that's a first down. And that's kind of how runs work. I'll do a couple of more runs. All right, so we're going to flip a card here. Let me get my New England sheet here. So let's just say it's first down, and we flip a 20. Well, a 20 is a run. We'll stick with runs, okay? Now we're going to flip here, and a 47. Well, that's J.R. Redmond. And again, like a lot of games, you see how Brady's 43, and this is 47. So Brady would be 43, 44, 45, and 46. And J.R. Redmond's a straight-up 47. Obviously, Mark Edwards, he would be 31 to 35, and we've seen this before in games, if you will. So on this one here, it's an exact 47. So J.R. Redmond's going to get a carry, so he's going to be a 47. And his average is 3. So let's check the defense. So we're going to flip, and we have E. So his average is 3. The defense E is going to be -1. So now we're at 2. And we're going to flip a card, and it's going to be the average. The adjusted average is 2 -1. It's a 1-yard gain. That's kind of how runs work for the most part. And again, other things can happen. You can have these things called breakaways. I'll talk about that in 1 second. But that's kind of how runs go. So I just want to kind of get you off and running, so to speak, with the runs. Not that I want you to have the runs, but you know what I'm saying, right? All righty. Let's now see what happens when we pass. All right, so here's the New England card, and we're going to flip this right here. What are we going to flip? What are we going to flip? Okay, so we're going to come here, and we flip this. And again, I'm sticking with column 1, and you can call out any column you want. Again, however you want to do it is fine. So we got a 42. So on 1st and 10, we got a short pass. All right, so we got short pass, and we have long pass. So this is going to be a short pass, okay? So we've identified it's going to be a short pass. Now we need to identify our receiver. So 17. 1 to 17 is Troy Brown. So it's going to be Troy Brown, okay? So now what we need to do is we're going to factor in the quarterback and the receiver now for the pass. And we're going to say it's Tom Brady. Okay. Again, you could roll the locator if you wanted to, but for our discussion tonight, it's going to be Brady. So this is short pass. This is long pass. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the short pass 11 to his receiver rating, which is 5. Now, this is confusing, okay? You see how you get the receiver, the runner rating here? This is different than this. They're labeled the same, but this is to determine the amount of runs that you're going to do, and this is really to determine the receiver value, if you will. If you're at the goal line, okay, we're going to be using this, and I think that's inside the 15-yard line here. And some of them are different. These are all the same, but sometimes they'll be, like this guy's a little bit different. So Jermaine Wiggins, he's a 1, but inside the 15, he's a 3. So he's your money man, short yardage when you're looking for touchdowns. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this 5, add it to this 11, and that gives us 16. Now we need to find the defense that's being played. And so we're going to flip a card, and we got C. So we have a C defense. So we have 11 and 5 is 16. Our C defense on a pass is -1. So that's going to give us 15. So now what I do is I flip the next card, and we look at the bottom. At 15, that's blank. That's incomplete. Complete is C. Blank is incomplete. IX is a possible interception. PR is a pressure, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. See that little F right there? That's a pass rush and possibly a fumble. And then we have PE as penalty. Higher is better. You see there's more C's in the higher area than there is below, usually. So usually higher is better. So in this case, it was incomplete. Now you see what I'm doing here? So after we flip to get the pass, so I'm going to flip that, 33, right? 33 is outside of this, so it's going to be a pass. And again, you got your down and distance here to really kind of help out. So let's just say 1st and 10, we get the 33, short pass. So we identify short pass. Now we want to identify the receiver. A 26, in this case, is going to be Kevin Falk, okay? And then we're going to get our number. 2 and 11 is 13. A defensive E. 13 minus 3 this time. So that's the best defense. 13 minus 3 is 10. So they have the correct defense called, and we flip a 10, and a 10 over on this card would be incomplete again, okay? Now, remember I talked about the order. In the book, sometimes it says identify the play, then the rusher, and then get the defense. Again, the order doesn't matter as long as you have your final rating before you flip for a result, whether it's a run or a pass. You need to have that final result. So you need to know what the average of the run is going into the play. You need to know what your pass number is going into that flip. So if you want to do defense first, you do defense first. If you want to identify the players first, identify the players first. As long as you have it all set, it doesn't matter what order you do. Okay, so I just want to point that out. Let's see here. So that's kind of some basic running and passing. Let's take a look at a punt. Okay, let's take a look at a punt. And again, I'm going to show you some of the easy things here. I don't know how deep I'm going to get into some of there's a lot of things that can happen in this game, but I just want to kind of get you off and running. Okay, so we're going to punt. So Kenny Walter comes in, one of the worst punters that New England ever had. His average is 40. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flip a card, and we're going to look at punt. And it says average -4. So we have a 36-yard punt. Simple enough. And then for a punt return, we're going to identify the player. Okay. So we're going to flip, and we get 32. So we come over here, and we look at our punt returners. And 32 is Steve Smith. We see if he fair catches it. Okay. He fair catches on 1 to 11. Well, on an 8, he fair catches it. If I had flipped this, it's not a fair catch because it's out of 1 to 11. Now, let's just say he's going to return the punt, okay? So now we have, so Steve Smith catches it. It's not fair caught. He's going to return it. And the kickoff and the punt return is his average. So it's an average of 9. So it's a 9-yard punt return. Let's just say I have this on my punt return. Uh-oh. So that's average minus 10 and a possible fumble. So his average is 9. So he gets knocked back 1 yard and we check for a fumble. So that's kind of how that would work. And I'm going to talk about fumbles and all this in 1 second. And Vinny drops by. He says, I had to buy this game after our show last. I know, I'm in a football mood, Vin. It was just ironic that I after we talked last night, we did our show, I actually started playing this last night. I played the 92 Oilers and Bills. And then he said, I got an email from Mike in the morning saying, hey, I added a couple of new seasons. This is like perfect. So I was showing a couple of the teams off from this new season. And the beginning part of the video, I showed everything you get with the season. It's pretty impressive. And all right, so that's kind of how kickoffs and runs and passes and punts work in the basic way. Now, there's other things that happen in this game. Okay, you got your penalties and things like that. So let's just say that we are running the ball, alrighty, and we get this. We get a penalty. So what do we do on a penalty? On a penalty, what I do is I slide this aside so I remind myself that it's a penalty, okay? You complete the play. So we're going to go here. Okay, so it's going to be the average run. So whatever the runner was, right? Remember, the runner plus or minus the defense is our average. So that's going to be our result. Let's check the penalty. How do you do penalties? Okay, if New England has the ball, okay, we're going to look over here. So their penalty is 15. The defense of Carolina is 39. 15 to 39 is going to be on the offense. 38 is, and that's inclusive, so that's going to be penalty on the offense. If I flip this, well, it's not 15 to 39, it's a 10, so that's penalty on the defense. So what do you do then? Well, once you determine who the penalty's on, you flip this card here. Okay, if it's a run and on the offense, it's minus 10. If it's a run that's on the defense, it's minus 5. If it's a pass, it's this on the offense. If it's a pass on the defense, it's minus 15, and it's an automatic first down. So run and pass penalties are here. That's where you're going to find them. So once you determine who the penalty's on, so on our example, we had a run, and it was an average run. So let's just say it was a 3-yard gain. Okay, by Anton Smith, and we rolled the dice, and it was an offensive penalty minus 10. Well, it doesn't say what it is, probably going to be a holding, so we just call that holding and back them up 10, unless it was, a third and long, and then they want to decline the penalty, if things like that. So that's how a penalty works on a run or a pass. If you're getting penalties on other things, that's when you're going to look up here. So if you get a penalty on the return, it's going to be the RX. If you get a penalty on the interception return, it's the IXX. And then you have some crazy things here too. This is how I got my kick blocked. Okay, so on a field goal, unlike APA and some other games, on a field goal, okay, you add the distance of the kick. So let's just say that John Casey is going to try a field goal. Let's just say the ball's at the 10. So that's going to be a 27-yard kick, right? 7 plus 10. So you would actually have to roll from here, and 1 to 46 would be good. So if I flip this and we're going here, 10, the kick is good. Okay. If I were to roll, okay, so we're kicking, if I rolled that, it's no good. The kick is no good. There are some specialties numbers. 25 and 26 are our specialty numbers. So if I would have flipped this and I was using column 4 on an extra point or a field goal, that's a crazy number. Okay, 25 and 26. And I have a couple of cheat sheets here that I made, and there's also these two here. I think they're on the website. I think these are Peter Miller ones, because I have the same thing for Hockey Bones, so I think it's a Peter Miller creation. If you can't find these on the website, let me know. They kind of just go through you see the rush, choose the rusher, get the defense, and then check the run result. It tells you everything about it here. Short pass tells you what to do. It's simple as that. But I made my notes here, so I said here on extra points and fields, 25 and 26, we check the PKX. So that's one of the weird stuff here. So if I got the result of 26, I go to PKX, and there's a handful of things that can happen, but one of the things that can happen is it's blocked. And that's what happened to me the other day. I had an extra point that was blocked because I rolled a 25, and when I flipped the card, it was blocked. And there's a few other things that can happen on the PKX. It can be blocked. Let's see here. You can get something going on the defense, and it's all explained in the book there. But that's kind of how that happens there. Let's do this. Let's do a long pass. All right. We talked about a couple of things here. We haven't talked about long pass yet. We've done short passes. Long pass is a little different. All right. So we're going to flip a card here, and let's just say we flipped. I want to give a good example here. Okay. So we flipped this for New England. All right. We flip a 50. Okay. And I look at the New England card, and no matter where I am, a 50 is going to be a long pass. Okay. So Brady's going to go long pass. All right. So who are we going to throw it to? So I'm going to go and flip a card here. And who do I want to look at here? So, all right. Let's just say this is the number here. Number 4. All right. So Troy Brown. Okay. So Troy Brown's going to get a long pass. The difference between a long and a short pass is we're using this number instead of this number. And you can see it's considerably less because it's considerably harder to get a long pass. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Troy Brown. He's a 5. So he stays the same. So Troy Brown will stay the same no matter if it's long or short. And instead of 16 for the short pass, it's going to be 10 for the long pass. So then we got to get our defense, which is B. So we have 10. And there's no change. So they don't have the good defense call. So there's no change here. So that's going to be a 0. So we have a 10. So now what we're going to do is flip the card and look at 10. And here it's incomplete. If I had drawn this card, it is complete. If I had drawn this card, we have a penalty. And again, continue the play, and then flip for the penalty. So I would flip this card. It would be complete. We would figure out how long the pass is, and then we would flip. And again, 15 to 39, it would be a penalty on the offense. So we flip, penalty on the offense. Let's see what the call is going to be. We flip another card. On a pass on the offense, it's -5, so maybe call that a false start. Something like that. None of those charts are on the website. Okay, I forget where I got those. I don't know if they were on Delphi or I don't remember where I got those. Yeah, so I would just say send me an email and I could send it. They don't give anything away, so it's not like I'm giving away the game. It's just kind of helping out with things. So if I come over here, okay, and long pass is a little different, okay? So a short pass completion. So if I made the short pass, I go to the receiver's average rate. So let's just say we did a short pass. I'm kind of bouncing around here, but I'm trying to show you what's going on. So Troy Brown and Tom Brady hooked up. We roll the dice. We flip the card. Whatever number we got, let's just say it was a 9. It's complete. So what I do is I go to Troy Brown. It's an 11. So I go to pass gain, average, 11 yards. Okay. If I were to get this one on the short pass, it's 11 minus 5, 6 yards. This one's 11 minus 3, 8 yards. You see where I'm going with that, okay? So that's how we determined the length of that. On the long pass, it's a little different. What we're going to do is we need to check for the receiver's longest gain using the number inside the parentheses. So for Troy Brown, that would be a 7. All right, so we want to check to see if it's the longest gain. And what we do is we go to the breakaway chart, which you'll be using quite a bit here. So again, 7. So we go to the breakaway chart, and we're going to see if it's going to be his longest gain. So if I roll a 1 to a 4, or pull a 1 to a 4, it's his longest gain. So if I flip this card and I'm going here, no, it's not his longest gain. It's going to be something else. We're going to be looking at the long gain here. Long gain here. Okay, that's what we're going to be looking at. If I was look at second column to 2, then, yep, that's his longest gain. So for Troy Brown, his longest gain is 60 yards. So that would be 60 yards. Okay. But if I flip here and it's not his longest gain, then I flip again and I look for my long pass game. So it's his average plus 30. So 11 plus 30 is 41. So on that long pass, it would be 41 yards. So again, there's your short pass, there's your long pass. Let's talk about breakaways, right? We're not talking about yeah, I'll be around tomorrow for a while, Vin, if you want to give me a buzz. Let's talk about breakaways, right? And I'm not talking hockey breakaways. I'm talking about regular breakaways. All right, so we flip the cards. It's going to be Antoine Smith, right? We figure out his average. We figure out the defense, whatever it is. We flip a card for run, and it says breakaway. What do? We take a look. His breakaway rating is 1 to 35. That's pretty good. That means he's seeing some daylight. We flip a card, 1 to 35. Well, if we go here, yes, it is. Yes, it is. If it's not, oh, 47. Nope, the hole closed. Resolve the play as normal. So on this particular one, it's just average -1. And you can't get a second breakaway. So if you roll another breakaway, just keep flipping until you get a result. So he had a chance for the breakaway. It didn't work. He slipped. The hole closed. Something happened. So it'd just be his average -1. If he did get the breakaway, though, okay. So again, we flip the card here. Where's my breakaway card? There it is. Okay, so we get the run up. It's going to be the breakaway, and we flip. Yes, it is in his breakaway. We come over to the breakaway chart, which I like the breakaway chart. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to see if it's his longest gain. So we go to his longest gain. So here's the 9. We come over here. A 1 or a 2, it's his longest gain. So if I flip, no, 50, no, not going to happen. If I was reading column 4, that's his longest gain. And his longest gain is 44 yards. If I were to flip a 1 or a 2. Since I didn't, so what happens now is that if you don't get the long gain, you go to the short gain. So if I flip this, it's not a 1 or a 2. So again, 3 to 50 is short gain. So what I would do, instead of giving him 44 yards, I would come over here to my short gain, and it's going to be average plus 13. So if the average on the play turned out to be, say it was 3 minus 1 for the defense, it was 2, then I get 25 yards. So instead of 44, I get to 25. So that's your run on a play. This is your short pass. This is your long pass. And this is your short gain if you don't get the longest gain on the breakaway. It's kind of how that works out. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Let's do that again. Let's do breakaway again, okay? Just to kind of run through it. Okay, so this time it's going to be Mark Edwards. All right, we roll the breakaway. Okay, Mark Edwards is a 1 to 12. We flip, no breakaway. We just go back to normal, and so it's average plus 2. So whatever his average was against the defense, plus 2. Okay, let's try this again. So we go breakaway for Mark Edwards. It's a 1 to 12. We're going to read the bottom column. Oh, it's a breakaway. 1 to 12. So he's got a 2. Where's my breakaway chart? Well, 2 is pretty darn good. 2 is 1 to 21. So we're going to flip a card here. And son of a gun, it's going to be his longest gain. And his longest gain is 14 yards. Kind of how that works. And once you've done this a couple of times, you'll feel it out. So for the breakaway, if you get the breakaway, you start here. You see what his breakaway is going to be. If it is a breakaway, then you go to the parentheses number, come over here, and then you see, is it his longest gain or is it just a short gain? That's kind of how that works. Kind of a piece of cake. And the only difference with this is, remember we talked about the long pass, okay? So if you get a long pass and that completes, you check to see if it's going to be his longest gain. So what you would do is, again, you look, so if we went to the pass, so you would actually skip one little thing here. So Troy Brown gets it, long pass, you skip the breakaway, okay? We're not even looking at breakaway. We're looking at the 7 here to see if it's going to be his longest gain. And if I go to 1 to a 4, it would be his longest, 1 to 4 on that 7, it would be his longest gain. Otherwise, if it's not his longest gain, then you flip the card and go to the long pass. Okay? The bullet, besides some of the receivers, that's just it has something to do with usage. Okay, and it talks in the instructions about usage on that. Fumbles. Let's talk about some fumbles, right? Let's talk about some fumbles. All righty. So England has the ball, and it goes to, well, we'll go to our main guy, Antoine Smith. All right, and let me see if I can find a fumble card here. All right, I'm not finding one here. Okay, here's one. Okay, so Antoine Smith gets it. Let's do the play. All right, so Antoine Smith goes against defense C. Defense C on a run is going to be 0, so there's no change. So he's got an average of 3, right, with no change. I flip the card. It's -4 with a possible fumble. So he's hit 4 yards. Mostly average -4, so we said it was 3 -4, so 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. So he's hit behind the line of scrimmage. There's a possible fumble 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. What we do is we look at New England's fumble rating, 1 to 25. I flip a card. If it's 1 to 25, it's a fumble. If I flip that, it's a 42, there's no fumble. So he's hit 1 yard behind the line. He loses a yard, but there's no fumble. If I roll this, well, the 25, that's it, 1 to 25, the ball is free. Then I flip another card to see if they get it or if they lose it. That's not good. That's a loss. So if I flip the next card, nope, they got it back. So the first card says it was a fumble. The second card says that they did not lose the fumble. And then there's actually a fumble chart that you roll on, and you see what happens. So if the offense recovers, you flip a card, 35, and 35 is they'll run for 1 yard. So the ball comes free. He scooped it up and fell forward a yard. If the defense recovers, so let's just say that when I rolled this, okay, the fumble happens. I roll an 8. They lose the ball. So the defense recovers. Now I flip, and the defense runs for 4 yards. So the ball is knocked free a yard behind the line of scrimmage, and the defense runs for 4 yards. And that's kind of what happens on that. Let's talk about some pressure. And cheat sheets are part of the game package. Oh, okay. Okay, Tim, thank you so much. I didn't know that, that they're in the game package there. So that's good, yeah, because they are important to have. All right, let's talk about pressure. Doon, 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 doon. The bullets are running backs making receptions. Is that what that is? Okay. Yeah, you might be right. Well, Tom Brady can actually make a catch too. I don't know what's up with that. I did read something about the bullets in there, but for me, it's I thought it was a usage thing. All right, let's talk about pressure. Pressure. Do 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 do. All righty. So when you are going to make a pass of any kind, And let's just say our number was 11 and we got PR. That's pressure, okay? So what's going to happen is the defense is putting pressure on the offense. If you can see here, we have, much like the penalty. Remember when we did the penalty? If New England's on offense, it's a 15 to 39. The offense versus the defense. That's the penalty range. The same kind of thing for pressure. We have a 12 for pass block and 28 for a pass rush. So if I flip a card and it's between 12 and 28, and this one's not, if it was 12 to 28, so if I flipped, okay, let's just say I'm reading column 2, and I flip that, it's a 12. That's going to be a sack. And then what you need to do is determine how much of a sack it is. And you flip a card. So I'm going to pick column 2, and it's a 21. So what you do, if it's a double, you add them, so it's only a 3-yard loss. If it's a single, it's 8 yards. So that's how you determine a sack. So if you get pressure, if you get the PR and it's pressure, you roll between the pass block and the pass rush. And if it falls in between that, it is indeed a sack. And then you roll the next card or flip the next card to determine how many yards are lost. Okay, so let's just say that the pressure's on, and I have a 12 to 28, and I'm going to go column 2, and it's out of range. So there is no sack. So he avoids the sack. What's the next procedure? The next procedure would be to see if he scrambles. So on a 1 to 20, Tom Brady would scramble. So I flip this. Well, 25, he doesn't scramble. Let's just say I'm using column 3. All right, we'll go right down in order. Column 3, he does scramble. So he avoids the sack, but he has to scramble with a 1 to 13. So then basically you just go to his run, and you flip over, and it's his average, and Tom Brady's average is 1, so it's a 1-yard gain. So on pressure, you look at the pass block versus the pressure of the defense. That gives you your range. So it's going to be, was my 12? Yeah, 12 is here. So 12 to 28, that's my range. If it's in that range, it's a sack. Then you flip to see how much yardage is lost. If it's not a sack, you check for the scramble. If it's a scramble, then you just run. If he avoids the scramble, okay, if he avoids the sack and he avoids the scramble, then you go back to the original pass. Or it says as an option, you can flip again to see if it's going to be a long pass or a short pass and change receivers. But I usually keep the same guy. So if I'm looking for David Patton, let's say, on a short pass, and it's a pressure, and he avoids the pressure, and he avoids the scramble, and I just go back to my normal pass, and then I flip to see if it's complete or not. At this point here, there's not a second pressure, by the way, so just kind of ignore that. Here's a fun one. It's the pressure with an F, pressure with a fumble. So what happens on this one is it's the same thing, except that if he gets sacked, you check for a fumble. Anything else, it plays on. But if it's a sack, there's a chance that he's hit and he fumbles the ball. So what you need to do, again, is flip to see if it's a sack. So in this case, it wouldn't be because it's 12 to 28. But let's just say I'm rolling in column 3. I'm column 4. So that's in range. So it's going to be he's hit, he's sacked. Column 3, it's a 6-yard loss, and we check to see if he fumbles the ball. 1 to 25, right? 32, he does not fumble the ball, so he hangs on. So the fumble procedure, again, it's a 2-step procedure. First check, did he fumble? Second check, did the other team recover? That's kind of how you read that. So that's kind of how pressure works and how pressure works with a fumble. The fumble can only happen on the sack. So if he escapes, then you don't worry about fumbling anymore. Even if he scrambles, you don't worry about it. If he passes, you don't worry about it. Interceptions. And Jim Kelly had a lot of interceptions in my game the other day. How does interceptions work, Dave? Well, here's what happens on interceptions. So we're going to throw a pass. And let's just say our result is 8. We've already gone through passes. We look at if it's a short pass, it's the quarterback here plus the receiver here, modified by the defensive pass, right? So let's just say that result is 8. And we flip this card and we get IX. IX is a possible interception. So what we do is we look at Brady's interception. That's 1-16. Modified by the defense, it's +7. So this 1-16 becomes 1-23. If I flip the card, 1-23, it's an interception. If it's the 35, it's out of range. It's just incomplete. If we were using column 3, and so now that, again, that's 1-16 plus 7, so 1-23. Yep, that's intercepted. So what you need to do is you figure out what happened on the pass, and that's where it's intercepted. So let's just say we're looking for Kevin Falk on a short pass. His average is 6, and we have an interception. We've determined it's an interception. So what we do is we flip here. We go to the pass. So his average is 6 minus 3. So 3 yards down the field, the pass is intercepted. Come over here. Who's got this interception? So we're going to flip the card here. And 42 says Jay Williams is going to intercept this pass. And now we check to see if it's going to be what kind of interception return do we have. So interception return, IX return, that's his longest return. Unfortunately, his longest return is absolutely nothing. So Jay Williams will intercept it 3 yards down the field, and that is that. Penalties can happen on interceptions. So if you do get a penalty, that's where the IX comes in, and it tells you who the penalty is on. But that is that. So I think that's all we're going to do here today. I've covered a lot. We covered kickoffs. We covered punts. We covered returns. The only other thing that you can do here if you want, and again, keep in mind that you have your normal run and then inside the 5 and your normal pass and then inside the 15. The other thing is the yards per catch variable here. So let's just say that we threw a pass to Kevin Falk. His average was 6. And so we're going to go here, and our pass is just going to be average. So it's a 6-yard gain. Flip another card. That's what I do. And a B is going to be +1. So that 6 would turn into a 7. So this is just a little bit of just trying to fine-tune the catches here. I flip another card. I do not stick with the same defense. I flip another card to get that here. Just what I do. You also get your sack locator on some seasons. Not all the seasons have this, but if you want to know who the sacks are, that's what that is. But anyway, that's kind of hopefully to get you up and running with the game here. There's a lot of things in the instructions that can sort more of this out for you, but again, let's just run through this real quick one more time. So we're going to give Carolina the ball this time. All right, let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see a little bit more. All right, so Carolina, this is their card. That's the Carolina card, right? All right, so we're gonna flip here. So we're gonna go right here. An 8. 1st and 10 is a run. Okay, we're gonna go here. A 20. We're gonna identify our rusher is Richard Huntley. Okay, his average is 3. F is our defense. F defense is going to be -1 for the run. So Huntley is a 3 -1. That gives us 2. And our run is average, so he's going to get 2. So that's a run. Okay, now let's take a look at, so we're going to flip this. We got a 40. We're going to go short pass, right? Let's see who we're going to throw to. We're going to throw to number 2. Number 2 is going to be Donald Hayes. He's got a 3. Chris Winkie is a 9. We have a 12. Let's check the defense. It's E. So 12 -4 is going to be 8. We flip the card, and 8 is complete. So Donald Hayes' average is 11. We come over here. The pass is going to be 11 -6. It's going to be a 5-yard catch. That's your short pass. Okay, so now we are going to look at long pass. So let's just say I can't find a number for long pass. So let's just say that it's 2nd and 8, and I roll a 47 to 50, or I flip a 47 to 50. So now we get a long pass. So we're going to flip the card here, and the number 6 is going to be Donald Hayes again. So it's going to be a 3, but this time we go to the long pass. So it's 3, and 3 is 6. We look at the defense. Defense is D, and a D is -1, so we got a 5. So we're going to flip the card, and on this particular one, we have a possible interception. Remember, interception is this plus the defense. We have 1 to 18 plus 5, it's a 1 to 23. So if I flip this card, no interception, incomplete. If it was complete, remember, okay, so if I were to flip the card here, and so we had a 5, let's just say it was complete. So Donald Hayes is complete, and we got to check for his longest gain. So remember, we go to the 4 here. We go to the breakaway chart to see if it's his longest gain. And on a 4, it's 1 to 8. So if I flip and it's 1 to 8, it would be his longest gain. It's not. So what I need to do is go to my long pass, which is average plus 10. So that would be 21 yards. And that's kind of how it's done. Hopefully that makes sense. When you play this, it will make more sense than it is watching somebody. I can guarantee you that. I'm just trying to give you some examples of gameplay here, so when you do it, and hopefully I did everything correctly. Oh, let's do the punt again. All right, let's do the punt one more time. All right, so we're going to do the punt here. So Kenny Waltz is going to come in and punt. His average is 40. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at so we're going to flip this here. So here's the punt. This is average PX. PX means if you're rushing the kicker. If you're rushing the kicker, then you have a chance of blocking it or have something come up. Alrighty, so if you're not rushing the kicker, then you ignore that. So it's just going to be his average. So Kenny Waltz is going to hit it 40 yards. Who's gonna get the return? So we flip. We have 11. Our finder on a punt return is Steve Smith. His fair catch is 1 to 11. A 19. It's not a fair catch. So now we just go with the punt return. His average is 9. Sorry, it's out of range. Average is 9. And it's going to be 9 minus 1 for 8 yards. And that's kind of how a punt works. Oh, you also have this neat kind of thing, too, for end zones. All righty. Now, the rule book says between your 35 and the other team's 45. I think that's backwards. I think it should be your 45 to their 35. That's what I think it is. So I'm gonna email Mike in the morning and see if that's correct, because there's no way you could coffin corner it from your own, punting from inside your own 35. So when you're up near midfield and you want to try to coffin corner, he does have this EZ rating. Okay, and so what you do here is, so we're gonna try to coffin corner it. So you flip a card and you see where it's got the easy punt and it says out of bounds at the 22-yard line. So there's 2 different punts. It's kind of neat. You have another one here down at the 1-yard line. Then you also have a couple of specific ones here. So on this card, if he's an A, it's down at the 4. B to F, he's a touchback. So he's actually an A. So Kenny Walter, despite being a weak leg quarterback, he's very accurate. So he's going to down that at the 4. There are there's a couple of other things too. Here, it's going to be taken at the 16-yard line, and they will get to return it. So just kind of follow the cards, and it'll tell you what happens here. Here's another one on the easy punt. An A and a B, it's down at the 6. A C to F, and it's going to be taken at the 6, and you got to return. So just follow the cards. And again, the rule book does a really, really good job of spelling everything out. There's a glossary in there. There's examples of some things. It really is not a very difficult game. Yeah, it takes a bit to get used to the rabbit hole you got to get down sometimes. Sometimes it's, an interceptions, and then you get an interception penalty, or if you got a punt rush with a fumble, or you get penalties in there, that can go down a rabbit hole like any other game. But most of the game will run pretty smooth for you. And when in doubt, just go to the rule book and look it out. The breakaways, that used to mess me up. So again, when you get a breakaway, you look at their breakaway rating first to see if they indeed do have the breakaway, and then you check on the breakaway. Is it the longest gain? If it's not, then it's short gain. So what that would mean that, again, Antoine Smith longest gain was 44. If I don't get that, then I go to the short gain, which would be average plus 9. So the short game is still going to be a pretty good gain. It just won't be their longest gain. And then again, the long pass, you always check for longest gain. So when you complete a long pass, so if we complete a long pass to Terry Glenn, we go to breakaway 1. Well, chances are it's going to be his longest gain, a 1 to 46. And his longest gain on Terry Glenn, which is down here, it was 23 yards. So chances are, sorry, you can't see that now, 23 yards. So chances are Terry Glenn with that 1 is going to get a 23-yard gain. Now you see Troy Brown, his longest is 60, and it's a 7. So for a 7, you have to roll a 1 to 4 is what it is. So if it's not the longest, then you just go to the card here. And longest, it's 20, plus 29 is pretty good. So that's still a pretty good game. Again, it's all in the book. And use these charts right here. And I think it was Tim said it comes with a game. So again, your long pass, so your short pass, use receiver's average rating, draw a fact, check the pass G results. So that's what we talked about. So on a completion, the average plus the pass G. Okay. And that's going to be your gain. And then if you want to, you can factor in the yards per catch added to that if you want to from the defense. Let's see here. The long gain, and we talked about the long game completion. If it's completed, you check the parentheses to see if it's going to be his longest gain. So we'll check the parentheses. Let's just say it's a 1. We go to the breakaway chart. A 1 to 46 will be his longest gain. And great. If not longest gain, then you go to the pass G, the LG right here, longest gain. That's what it is. And the interceptions, again, it's all written down here. It does a pretty good job. This little cheat sheet here of showing everything. And then over here, too, your field goals. There's your 25 or 26 I talked about. You got some penalties it talks about. Fumbles, we talked about fumbles. You roll on the team fumble chart. There's your breakaway. You see if he breaks it away or not. And if he does, it's either going to be his longest or it's going to be a shorter gain. Talks about timeouts. The first down measurement. First down. I forgot to talk about that. That's kind of neat. So what happens is on third down, if you come up a yard short, okay? So let's just say New England hands it off and they come up a yard short on third down. This is kind of fun, actually. So what you're going to do is New England's run is a 12. And the defense on a run is a 40. So you're going to flip a card in a 12 to a 40, and they're going to measure, and New England will get the first down. On a pass, if they come up a yard short, it's a pass 13 against a pass 41. You flip a card. If it's in range, you give them the first down. And that's kind of how that works. So again, you get the run and the pass for the offense against the run and the pass for the defense. That's something I always forget. Much like the wild pitch and payoff pitch, I tend to forget this. But that's another kind of fun thing that you can do in this game as well. So anyway, there's a lot more that happens in this game. I'm not going to go over it all. I'm still going into the rule book a couple of times to kind of figure it out, because once in a while it does screw me up, just because sometimes there's a lot of extra symbols and I got to kind of refresh myself. But that's kind of how it goes, is, get your team cards set up for each team. That'll help you call the plays. You can call your own runner and receivers if you want, or flip the card like I like to do to kind of generate a random guy. And then runs are easy, like most games. And then the passes get a little crazy because you get pressure, possible interceptions, things like that. And then the penalties, well, they're their own beast. But the penalties actually aren't too bad. When you start getting penalties on interceptions and punts and returns and stuff, it can get a little crazy like other games. But all in all, it's pretty good. Which is easier for gameplay? Dice. There's no dice. There's no dice at all. It's all fast action cards. The only thing you could possibly do is if you wanted to get a random number generator for 1 to 50, you could do that. But as you can see, all the results are on the card here. So there's really no dice. The only dice you could roll is the 1 to 50. So anyway, so that is that. So hopefully that helps out if you're getting the game. A couple people got it this week. Might help you get the game going. But if you read the directions and follow along, it's fairly simple. It's fairly simple. In fact, I played it with Mike Canistrari in Canton last year, and I pulled it out in the lobby, and it's like, man, Mike, I haven't played this forever. And we started playing it, and he picked it up in 5 minutes. You know, even getting the breakaways and stuff down. He's like, oh, I get that down. I get the whole bit. So, and it's only 3 plays. It's run, short pass, long pass. It's really, it's a simple game, but it's fun and it works. Somehow it works. I thought that with only 1 running play and 2 passing plays, it would be boring as heck, but it's not. And it's probably the fastest game because you're flipping cards and you're going through it pretty quick. So that is a little more of a look at Solitaire Pro. Hopefully I did everything correct. Any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer it. Again, I'm not an expert at the game. I just play it, enjoy it, and I just wanted to show how to get off and running with a few different things here. So maybe next time I'll go a little deeper with some of the different things as far as some of the punt penalties and things like that. But for right now, that should get you up and running. And again, when in doubt, look at the rule book. It really does explain everything and have examples of everything. So we will talk to you later. Hope you enjoyed this one. I know I'm going to be playing some of the 2001 season that just come out. Looking forward to that. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.